Okay, so what we're going to be doing in these notes is we are going to practice adding and subtracting integers. Okay, so let's highlight this thing first. You can always use a number line to help you find the sum of integers. I'm going to show you how to do a couple on this number line. Some of you might be good with integers, so you may not need this, so you could just watch this. But if you struggle with integers, I suggest writing this down. Okay, I'm going to move my face. All right, so let's look at some examples. Let's say we have -2 plus 5. You always start at the first number. So I'm going to start at -2. Now it says to go plus 5, which means go to the right, because positive numbers are on the right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is where I end up. I end up at +3. Okay, let's try another one. Erase that. Maybe an eraser. Okay, so now let's try 7 plus a oh, I don't want to do 7. I don't have 7 on my number line. What was I thinking? Let's do 3 plus a -4. So you always start at the first number. 3 is positive, so I'm going to start here. And negative means I'm going to go to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I left up and I finish up at -1. Okay. Let's do 2 more. Let's try not -5. I keep taking big numbers. I don't know why I do that. -2 plus -1. So again, I start at -2, but this time I'm going to the left because it's a negative. So I go left 1, and I'm left here at -3. Okay, so let's erase that. So I'm trying to cover all combinations. The last combination is when we have 2 positives, which you guys know how to do positives, right? Still the same process. I start at 1, but then 1 plus 3, many of you will not need this. 1, 2, 3, but it's just, I want to show you that it's the same process. Even if it's something you knew before, that's how you do it. Okay, so now, there's 3 rules that I really want you to get comfortable with. Once you're comfortable with these rules, it will make things easier. When you struggle with integers, it makes it hard to do math in high school. So I don't really want you to say, oh, I don't get integers, I've never gotten integers. I really want you to give it a try, okay? I know that a lot of teachers teach it differently, but I have a method that I've used for a long time that helps kids. And so I'm asking you that if you struggle, use my method. If you're great at integers and another teacher has taught it and you totally understand it, that's awesome. I'm not saying you have to use my method. But if I see that you start making mistakes, I'm going to walk you through my method and see if that helps you. Okay, so there's pretty much only 3 rules to my method. The first one is if you have the same sign, you add and keep sign. So let me show you what that means. Right here, I had the same sign. I had a positive and a positive, so I kept the positive. Right here, I'm going to have to write it really small because it's at the top of the screen. I had a positive. I was not a positive. I had a negative and a negative, so I kept the negative. So when you have the same sign, you add them, and then you keep that sign. The next rule is if you have different signs. Now, I'm using different colored pencils. If you have that, you can, but you don't have to. You can just use a regular pencil. But something about it on the computer, it helps it stand out, I think. So if you have different signs, so let's see what happens. This is a positive. This is a negative. And what you do is you subtract. And this is where it gets a little harder. So you subtract and you keep the sign of bigger number. Now don't think about negatives there. It's just which number is actually farther away from 0. That's what I mean by bigger. So I have a positive and a negative, so different signs subtract. This number is bigger, so that's why it's negative. I take the sign of the bigger number. This one is a negative. This one is a positive. If I look at 2 and 5, 5 is actually a bigger number. So that's why it's a positive 3. So same sign, add and keep, different signs subtract. And then you keep the sign of the bigger number. Okay. The last rule I have, and I didn't do any of these last rule, is when you have two negatives touching. So when I have two negatives, something like this, what I do is I circle them and make them plus. I've heard some kids say that their teachers teach them to wick-whack. That works for you, do that. But here's some examples of what I mean. So if I have 2 minus negative 4, I can circle a parentheses. I just cannot circle if there's a number there. So this becomes 2 plus 4, and these are both positives, so positive, positive. So I add and I get positive 6. Negative 4 minus negative 1. These are touching, so they become positive. So it's negative 4 plus 1, and now we follow those two rules. This is a negative, this one's a positive. Different signs, it tells me to subtract. 4 minus 1 is 3. And since this number is bigger, I take the negative. Okay. An example of when you cannot do this is if you have something like 2 minus 3 times negative 2. If I try and circle those negatives, there's a number there. You can't circle and have a number inside. So this one does not work. This is a no-go. Don't do that. No, because you can't have a number inside the circle. So if you want to keep that example there, you can. You don't have to. But I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying when you circle. If there's a parentheses, it's okay. You just cannot circle a number. Okay? All right, so let's go over to the side of your pages where it says examples. Oh, wait, I forgot something right here. Look at this. Subtraction. This is super huge. Something about this gets kids every year. I don't know why. Subtraction is the same as adding a negative. A lot of people say, well, it's a subtraction sign. Well, the reason you learned it as subtraction is because when you're learning subtraction in first grade, they're not going to talk to you about negatives. It would be confusing and it would be hard to then know, okay, well, is my answer positive and negative? So when you were first learning subtraction, you only did big number minus small number. Now we're going to start doing the other way. And so you just have to realize a subtraction is the same as a negative. So a problem like this, 5 minus 8. When I do this problem, 5 is a positive, 8 is a negative. That's a negative 8. So different signs subtract. And then I take this sign because 8 is bigger. So it's a negative 3. So if you see a subtraction sign, just think about it as a negative. All right, now I want you to go to the other side, and I would like you to do those 6 examples. When you think you have them, oops, my face is right over that. Let's put that here. When you think you have those answers, go ahead and press play. Okay, so when we do this, I like to label it. Usually if we're in class, I'm going to ask you these questions. So I just get in the habit of writing it down. So my first question is, are they same sign or different? Well, this one's a negative, this one's a positive, so they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 is the bigger number, so my answer is positive 1. You can write a positive 1 if you want to, but you don't really have to. If there's nothing there, then we know it's a positive. Oh, come here. I'm trying to get this eraser and I can't. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Oops. What is going on? Go away. Something's... Oh, I got the other tools up. I didn't want that. Okay, there we go. Woo! It's confusing. All right, let's look at this one. This 3 is positive. This 8 is negative. Are they the same sign or different? Different. So different signs subtract. And we take the sign of the bigger number. And 8 is bigger, so this one's negative 5. All right, here we have this magic rule, 2 negatives touching. So I'm going to redo this. And I'm going to rewrite it. Some people don't rewrite it, but I find some mistakes sometimes. So I'm going to take that, 1 second it took to write it. So this one's positive. This one's positive. So are they the same sign or different? That's right, they're the same. So same signs you add. And so the answer is 6, because adding, you keep it. So these are the questions you ask. Question number 1, this is the main one. Same sign or different? Knowing that, do you add or subtract? When we do some of these in class, these are the questions I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to try and put you on the spot, but you need to be able to determine if they're the same sign or different. Okay, let's look at this one. This is a negative 2 and a negative 3. So, same sign or different? They're the same. So same means you add. So 2 plus 3 is 5, but we keep the sign. So it's negative 5. Number 5, negative 7 and a positive 2. So are they the same sign or different? That's right, they're different. So different signs subtract. And you take the sign of the bigger number, and 7's bigger, so it's another negative 5. Lastly, I got 2 negatives here, so I'm going to circle. And then again, I'm going to take the 1 second it does to rewrite it. And so now I have a negative and a positive. Same sign or different? That's right, they're different. And I take the sign of the bigger number. Okay, so ask yourself those questions in your head. Same sign or different? So does that mean you add or subtract? I will ask those over and over again, but if you start asking yourself those questions, that will also help.